Hello. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball, another team profile and projection. We are going episode a day every day until opening day. And today, talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates, rated fourth worst team in MLB by you guys. Is that the highest they've been in a while in these rankings since we've been doing PPPs? Do you think they've ever fallen higher than not being in the top five worst?
I think every time we've done this, they've been one of the probably two worst.
Yeah, one or two, I think. So, hey.
It's called progress, James.
Way to go. Pirates. Jake, did they have a big offseason?
Fellas, and these TPPs are brought to you by SeatGeek. Code Talkin, $20 off your first order with SeatGeek. Pirates, is it the year before the year? They added some vets at every level, kind of. Austin Hedges, behind the dish, our guy. Rich Hill, twirling it for the Pirates. Carlos Santana and the return of Andrew McCutchen. You've got to be kidding me. How about a little G-Man Choi, Vince Velasquez? All right. These are MLB guys playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Who they lost? They lost Kevin Newman and Bryce Wilson and Hoy Park via trade. Diego Castilla, Zach Thompson, they're out. Couple waivers, guys, including Miggy Yahoo, Mariznik, Sugo, and a couple other bodies, but I think they brought the bodies in to replace them. And Trev, that lineup's fun, man.
This is a fun lineup. I'm pretty optimistic about this Pirates team. Got some guys I like. Starting off with the alien. Can I call him that? Is that bad?
I don't know.
O'Neal Cruz, you are a stud, off the chart StatCast measurements, a great player. He's going to be at shortstop. Brian Reynolds, we'll see how long he sticks around. He's asked for a trade, and the Pirates said no. Sorry, that's not how things work around here. He'll be manning center field. He's a switch hitter. Brian Hayes, my guy, named my marijuana plant after him. Shout out that. Third baseman, he's holding it down. G-Man Choi at first base. My guy Kutch in left field. Santana, as you mentioned, at DH. Jack Sawinski in right field. Rodolfo Castro, another switch hitter at second base. And as you mentioned, Austin Hedges behind the dish on that bench. We got a guy named Bay, which I know you like. Left-handed bat. He's kind of utility guy. Tyler Heineman, former workout partner of mine. He'll be back with some catching duties, hopefully. Connor Joe coming over from the Rockies, which is really nice. Kind of like a corner infielder / outfielder guy. And Cal Mitchell, left-handed bat. And James, let's talk about that rotation. There's some familiar names in the rotation as well.
Our guy Mitch Keller, we hung out with him. He changed his fastball repertoire last year because it was the worst fastball in MLB, and then went to a two-seamer. I forget which way he went, but it got better after that. JT Brubaker, Rich Hill, Vince Velasquez, Roanzi Contreras, and Johan Oviedo. Luis Ortiz is there. They got Bednar in the bullpen, Stevenson, Crow, Dwayne Underwood Jr. I remember that name. Some names. I mean, what the Pirates have done here is built a good farm. I believe they hired the Rays pitching farm developer guy.
Good
Official
job.
title.
Seems like a no-brainer.
But the kids aren't fully ready yet, so they hired guys to stop them from promoting the kids. And it's a ton of one-year deals to guys that I don't think are going to make them contenders or that much better, but they can play them and have fun without starting the prospects too early.
I think this is a team that we've grown accustomed to just kind of shooing the Pirates off and not really paying attention to them. You know, save Brian Hayes and O'Neal when they came up, and, you know, we've been paying attention to them. And obviously Brian Reynolds is always all over the news. But I think this is a team that's going to be much more enjoyable to watch because of the veterans that they brought in. And they do that for a couple different reasons. If you ever listen to Talking Baseball, you've heard me say this before, but when you got a young bunch of guys who really haven't experienced any sort of winning at the big league level, you got to bring in some guys that have, so they can teach them the way and how to be big leaguers and how to have some sustained success. So you bring in Kutch, you're bringing in Rich Hill, you're bringing in Carlos Santana, who I think is a really good mentor for young hitters. And I think this is going to be palatable. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I think you're going to watch these games and you're going to say, look, do you remember the play we had with the first baseman against the Cubs? When was that? Was that last year or the year before?
2021.
Yeah.
That's not palatable. Like that makes you as a Pirates fan. Yeah, it makes you just want to turn the TV up. I don't know how much we're going to see of that. And I know that's not saying much, but I think that when you're watching these games, and I know we're going to a balanced schedule, they're going to be better than the Reds, I think. And we're going to see some really good play during the season. I think we're going to see some stretches from this team that are like, okay, this is cool. And then as you mentioned, you got the farm system. I believe there's 7 kids in the top 100 in the farm system. I saw Tamar Johnson get drafted this year. He's a little spark plug. He's a little bit a ways away. But you can kind of hang your hat on that. Look, we're about to enter our window. Is it going to be this year? No. Is it going to be next year? I think the window will start to open and then we start to go. And I think there are good times ahead in Pittsburgh. Let Brian Reynolds go, by the way. Trade him. Let's go.
Oh,
I don't know about
what are you
all
talking
that.
about? You can't say both those statements at once.
I don't know.
Yes,
about
you
all
can.
that.
Yes, you can.
You want them to win and a window's opening up, but you want them to get rid of Reynolds, who they have for the next 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, give him to the Marlins and get some young pitching.
I want to see a full season of O'Neal Cruz. 87 games last year. He racked up about a 2.5 WAR. If he gets a tick better and he plays a full season, I mean, you're looking at a pretty special dude there. Key Brian Hayes, the stick was down last year. He was picking it. I think that should come back up a little bit. Brian Reynolds had a really slow start to the year, maybe due to constant trade rumors. That's just my theory, but
he ends with a decent, with a good,
a really nice
offensive
year.
numbers.
But even for him, he can have more than that. G-Man Choi, that one's getting slept on a little bit. I know he's had some injuries. The last 2 years, he's been a 114 OPS plus on the nose. Like, if he can be out there, he can give them a better effort than they've had. With the veterans and Kutch and Santana, we'll see what they've got in the tank. Maybe they're a little rejuvenated. Maybe they feed off the young guys. Those guys are going to see a lot of pitches either way. That's where they're at in their career. I love them throwing the arms around the shoulder. I love Hedges working with the pitchers and stealing pitches. The other side of what I said with some of the lineup, Jose Quintana gave them 20 really good starts last year. And then they trade him away. I wonder how much they'll miss that. But Keller, it seemed like things started to click last year for him. Jimmy mentioned the fastball. Rowansi, he's a young dude. Brubaker's been out there for a few years now. Rich Hill slinging it probably for the first half of the season. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a fun mix. I wouldn't say it's going to be the Orioles last year, but I think it could be an Orioles light. Like, I think we're going to run into some wins. I think there's going to be some good energy. I do think at the trade deadline, I think we're going to ship away some of these parts. And let's call up some kicks. Endy Rodriguez.
Call him up.
Go check out his minor league stats. Holy smokes. And it is building up for a jazzy 2024. And you guys know I don't like to say that.
Jazzy or 2024?
Yes.
Yeah, Mitch Keller started his four-seam fastball was like his number one pitch in April and May by a landslide. And then in June, he completely ditched it. He did work it back into the repertoire, but he had to develop his sinker, which helped him out because I believe for the first 2 months it was the worst four-seam fastball in baseball. So good job, Mitch. That's changing it up.
Adjusting.
Making the adjustments.
Do we know if Endy is going to have a chance to start the year on this team? Seems like probably should, unless they're going to play the service time game. But there is, we put some stuff in the CBA to kind of combat that, even though I don't think it really did. Although Rushman got a full year last year because he finished wherever he finished, right?
Here's all I know, and Pirates fans, you know your Pirates better than me, but not my Uncle Rick. So back off.
Well, text Uncle Rick then.
And Charlie Bloom.
They fast-tracked Endy a little bit last year. 88 games in high A, 936 OPS. Boom. They send him up to double A. 31 games, 1.1. Bang biscuit. He gets a drink at triple A. 6 games. I don't know. I think we're going to be interested to see on the Pirates' end when the trade deadline comes around. And maybe some of those vets we've talked about, maybe they head out of town. We'll see where the Pirates are really at standing-wise. But yeah, I guess it turns into organizational philosophy. Do they value a guy like Endy coming up for the last 2 months and playing 40 games and getting his feet wet? Or are they going to go full service time, and drag him into the next year? I don't know. I like when they get that cup of tea because I think that gets you ready for the next year and you know what the show is going to be like. I'm getting jazzy.
This team did like pretty much nothing well last year. I'm looking at their 2022 team. No, listen, let me finish, bro. I mean, their hitting was bottom of the barrel. Their starters were bottom of the barrel. Their relievers were bottom of the barrel. There's a couple guys in there that, were okay, but as a team, not very good. I think it's going to be different this year.
Okay.
You didn't let me finish.
Nice.
I wish I shared your guys' optimism. I never know if you're doing it just because you want to put good vibes into the universe. What do you mean by, then we get to the over-under. Like, what do you guys mean by you're optimistic about this team?
I guess here's what O'Neal Cruz, you see it, right?
Yeah, I need him to get on base more. Under 300 OBP, I don't think that's sustainable over a full season.
Sure. Brian Reynolds, you like that?
Yeah, like Brian Reynolds, very good.
Good, Brian. We're in on it. It's what is it? But
you're in
make or break year on
offense.
Everything, because he was really good, and then if he doubles last year, you're like, oh boy. Then
I don't know, make or break year. He's under contract for a long time.
No. In is he who we believe him to be? Who can he be?
What can he be?
Because if he has
already an
if
elite
he has
defender.
2 years, the goal is just to get him back to where he was when he was awesome. But when he was there, you wanted him to step up. So you hope he gets back to there and then steps up next year, or something like that,
And I guess, young Jack Sawinski, he hit 19 homers last year. Could that be 20 next year? I don't know.
Well,
G-Man, Choi, McCutcheon, and Santana. Can those guys give you a good half of baseball? I think so. If not a little more than that. So
floor and ceiling, then.
Floor and ceiling, I think this team, if everything started to go, young guys, veterans were drinking the Kool-Aid, I think they could approach 500.
Whoa, bro.
So ceiling is approach 500?
Yeah.
What about division, third place?
Yeah. A lot would have to go. Hey, I'm talking
You're optimistic.
Orioles light from last year. I'm not saying it's gonna happen.
I hope that's the case.
Because their floor
I don't know if I have
Pirates.
I don't know if I have 500 on the radar for them. I think they were 62 and 100 last year. Them improving 19 games that's a lot to improve by. I think there are going to see some improvements. I think that they're going to finish in front of the Reds. I don't think they have enough to catch the Brewers or the Cubs or the Cardinals. The Cubs made some pretty significant additions this offseason.
Beat the Reds.
They're going to beat the Reds. I don't think that's a question. You know what, Jake? I think approaching 500 is the right word. Approaching.
A lot's got to go right, and that's the story of baseball.
A lot has to go right. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, all you want right now this year is for the veterans to help your young guys out, and then probably you're hoping to ship them off to contenders, get that farm system stocked even more, and then let's see some of these young guys.
You got a couple pieces you can trade. You got Santana. He's been traded a lot lately. I don't know if they're going to trade. I don't know if they're going to trade Kutch because it's like a fun return. It's a little bit of he would have to really, really be playing well and also agree to it. Obviously, has the rights and ask for it and all that. But otherwise, I think it is no mentorship role.
Yeah,
go through the whole season with these guys, and then Velasquez. I don't think they should trade Reynolds if they think their window's opening. I don't really think their window's opening that quickly. I think trading Reynolds could still benefit them. It looks very much to me like a holdover year. Let's improve on the margins and let's get veteran guys to help our young guys as they come up and make their debuts, which is important in a rebuild, and I like it, but I don't think they're close to doing anything but having fun moments.
I don't know the pitching depth necessarily all throughout the minor leagues. They're gonna need some guys like that. We talked about Kutch and if they would trade him. I think the only way they would trade him is if he asked and he was like, "Look, man, like I want to go to a contender.
Yeah.
I want to try to win a World Series." Then possibly it happens. But I agree if it's not that case, if that's not the case, he'll be there all year. So 2023. I said I think they could approach, which means like 75 wins to me. They could approach the 500 mark. And then if we're looking 2024, if we get some pitching in there, some guys that I guess I don't know about, and maybe I should. Are we talking wild card or is that too soon?
Too soon.
Let's get through this year. I mean, I don't know where our Orioles landed in the standing. Also very different divisions. But I guess here's what I'm saying. When we do these every year, the rankings aren't going to be perfect. Where were the Orioles last year? They were probably, bottom 3, bottom 5, and they ended up putting together that perfect kind of dream rebuild season. I'm not saying it's happening, but I think of the teams we've covered so far, I don't see kind of the light for this year. I think Pittsburgh can see some light this year.
I think they had fun last year when Cruz came up and he's breaking the StatCast records and you had some other fun moments. But yeah, I think fourth place is the ceiling.
Where the Orioles a couple guys in the pipeline. Luis Ortiz has had a cup of coffee. He'll be part of this rotation at some point of the year, I'm pretty sure. Hey, we didn't make these rankings. You guys did. Don't yell at us.
Yelling at you.
Orioles were 29th last year. Pirates are 30th in our voting. Our fans voting.
Yeah. The Orioles had a really good first half of the year, and they made fun, but they weren't. They were just above 500.
I think they had a wild card spot one day in August, but yeah.
But, for them, it was incredible from where they'd been and where they're going.
It was unexpected. It was
right.
It was a big jump.
Right.
Completely off the map.
Moved the wall, had some pitching.
I think moving the wall had a lot to do with it. They should try and, hey, how can you change the field to better suit your team?
Don't need to. It's already beautiful.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's beautiful.
Hey, Camden was nice too, and they uglied it up to make a better result.
Yeah.
So true. I don't know what they did with that wall. Hey, guys, one last thing on this. We always like teams, when you go into some of these really good organizations, you steal a player away. They Rule 5 the guy named Jose Hernandez from the Dodgers last year. Let's see what happens to that one.
Yeah, the Dodgers and Rays, every Rule 5 candidate should be getting taken.
Everyone. Tell us the secrets.
Rays, Dodgers, Cuban players for Trev's team.
Oh, my gosh. Shout out Neil Walker.
Shout out.
He's calling some games this year.
He is, and he's also on Cameo. Go check it out. I saw him tweet that out. You're welcome, Neil.
Like that a lot. What's this OU at?
64.5.
4.5. So they got to be.
Oh, I'm over, baby. I'm going over.
2.5.
Optimistic Trev going over.
You got to believe in some things in sports, right? And if bringing some vets in, especially Kutch, Santana, they can. Trev, you always talk about how important it is to be a pro and bring it every day. I think those guys have that. Rich Hill for the pitchers.
Does the same thing apply to you for the Reds, where they don't have as many games in division? They have more games against tougher. They were in the weakest division.
If I use it for the Reds, I have to use it for the Pirates, right? But it's at the same time, I think what the Pirates have done as a team compared to what the Reds did as a team, I'm in on what the Pirates are doing. I think, you mentioned O'Neal Cruz. They got that spark from him. 87 games. If he can play $140 this year, especially at a tick higher level, that's a huge ad. So I'm in on it. I'm taking the over.
And I'm pretty torn between the two of these teams. I don't know which team I think is better, the Reds or the Pirates.
Wow. Interesting you say that. I don't.
Well, because the Reds have had more players that have had good seasons in their career. Like, there's more muscle memory on the Reds than the Pirates. Of he's done it before.
I think there's one team heading this way, and I think there's one team heading that way.
I think the directions are different.
Yeah.
So it might be vibes-wise. But they're kind of intersecting right now.
The same record last year.
Like Myers has had a good year. Newman's had a good year. Stevenson had a great year last year. Votto, obviously. India. Like I think they're at intersecting points in different paths. So I don't know, coin flip. But they win 68 games.
Let's go.
Can I point a picture?
Yeah, you can.
I don't think that makes sense with what I said. I like the Reds bullpen more.
Pointillism.
Can I paint a picture for
their starter?
I think this is going to happen, okay?
I like the Reds more.
I think our Pirates. I'm going to call them our Pirates. I think we're all in agreement on the over. Great.
Pirates.
Our Pirates. Shout out Teddy, who just had a pirate grammar play. I think they're going to start the year out just fine. And then I think they might hit a lull. And then I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a story from one of the beat writers saying Andrew McCutchen and Carlos Santana and Rich Hill had a closed-door meeting and blew the whole fucking clubhouse up. Carlos Santana's already done that. He took bats to the TVs when I was in Philadelphia. That was kind of interesting. I think we're going to get a story like that. And then I think we're going to get a freaking run from these guys. The veterans are going to help this team so much. I'm excited about it.
Let's have them bump up in attendance. That would be my damn goal for this team. I mean, they were 14th in the NL in attendance last year, and they're first in beautiful ballpark.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I've got it. Jim, your attendance thing? Yep.
That's why I was excited about the Orioles. Like, I don't think in the end they made a big jump, but Baltimore fans had the summer. Like, the Orioles they packed the house, they wore bucket hats, they had fun, chaos was coming. They had an identity. It'd be cool if the Pirates could form that because they are on their way up and it will help them keep going up.
The Pirates are going to have their most wins since 2018. They got to beat 69 for that. So I'm on the chase for 70 with the Pirates this year.
Okay.
They open up against the Reds.
Maybe come with a cool home run celebration. That'd be nice.
Massive series to start the year.
Yeah, they open up against Reds and then Red Sox. So they're just versus the red.
I would paint the locker room red.
Yes. With blood?
What? Go Pirates.
I got a hat.